Good day, YouTube. It is the 25th of November, 2024. This is my old and was really beat up Honda EU3000is Generator. Got a few videos on this. This thing's been kicking around here for about a year and a half. I bought it in difficult condition. It would actually start and run with the rope starter. It wouldn't start with the electric starter. It would crank, wouldn't start. Got a couple videos if you're interested in that, or if you're experiencing something similar to that, you'd be very interested to grab that other video. At some point, this thing fell out of a truck or something. This was really beat up. I pounded it out a little bit. I wasn't going to do any real body work or putting Bondo in it or something. This one was kind of repaired when I got it. And there it is. So we sanded it down, put some paint on it. We did some truck bed liner on the end caps in a previous video, and we're pretty well done with this thing. Except for I used this on a trip. We, three of us went on this trip, carried this generator in the back of the truck to power RV air conditioner chargers and etc. And it worked out very well. Brought it back to try to get to this issue of why it won't start when you're cranking it with the electric starter, and it got pushed to the back burner for more than a year. I just drug it out, and I want to make it run. I want to convert it to propane. So get it all. I did, figure out what the problem was. Got everything repaired. Been cleaning things up, putting it back together over the last few days, and it is. I went to start it and it wouldn't start. It was a fuel issue, and I couldn't believe when I took the carburetor apart what condition it was in a relatively short amount of time, about 15 months. Yeah, I never put anything but non-ethanol fuel in all of my generators except for this one. I never cleaned the fuel system out when I got it, and we were going basically truck stop to truck stop. When you're towing RVs and stuff, that's the most convenient place. They don't have non-ethanol. So when you're on the road, state to state, truck stop to truck stop, you put fuel in it because you need it to run. And when you gas up your tow vehicle, and well, it got left in it since a year ago, June. And like I say, this is almost December now. So it's been in there for a while, but the carburetor was horrible. I cleaned it out enough to make it run, but it doesn't run well. And that's okay. I was going to put a new carburetor on it anyway. So yesterday I ordered a new carburetor on Amazon, and the dang thing was sitting on my porch at 7:30 this morning when I went to breakfast. $28 on Amazon. Just do a search for it. Came with the air filter, came with one of them plugs I'll never use, although it is a platinum spark plug. It's a brand I don't understand, so if anybody wants that, you're welcome to it. These things don't really come with a brand name or stuff on it. But anyway, I'll put some of this stuff away. If I ever find another one of these generators in horrible junk condition, maybe that's when I'll put that in. I'll probably box this stuff all back up again, mark it, and maybe we'll use it down the road. So here's my thought. I've got this thing all back together. Again, it'll start and it'll run. Runs poorly. We're going to put a carburetor on it. And then I got some decals coming for it because, we did get this thing repainted. And then once this thing runs good after today, I'm going to order up a conversion for propane natural gas. So it'll be a tri-fuel machine. Because I don't have one. I have about 15 generators that I own. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But I don't have one that runs on propane. And as a prepper, I have lots and lots of propane. So if we ever get to the point where stuff hits the fan, things go down. I have gasoline here certainly, but if we ever get to that point, I have probably more propane here than gasoline. And as you know, propane never goes bad. It can sit in your shop for 20 years and it'll just go. It makes this generator always at the ready, whether it has gasoline in it or not. The cool thing about these is you can fill the gas tank up, then you can have your propane tank. You can even do a switchover. I bet I have one sitting over here waiting for a project. Yeah, right there. So that's like an auto switchover setup for propane tanks. So you could set up a couple propane tanks. You can see I have a lot of propane accessories. I'm like, what's his face? Look at those propane hoses hanging there. Yeah, I am prepared for propane like nobody's business. But anyway, if you have this thing full of fuel, and then maybe you've got 2 propane tanks set up, maybe you're expecting a storm, or you've been warned about a potential power outage or something like that, you could just spend your days before the event getting this thing totally set up with, maybe it's 8 hours of runtime just in gasoline, and maybe 24, 48 hours worth of runtime on propane. Or go get you a huge tank, or like me, you have about 25 5-gallon tanks. I can run for a week or 2 or something. Need to sit down and calculate it up. Enough gasoline, enough propane. I think a kit's like $250. I've actually got it sitting in my shopping cart on Amazon. So the idea for right now is we're going to get this new carburetor put on so I don't have to worry about it. And then when we do the propane conversion, I don't ever have to get back into it. We'll put fresh non-ethanol fuel in. I've already cleaned the fuel tank out. Sediment bowl is clean. We'll put fresh non-ethanol in it and get the thing then all set up for propane. And this thing will be good to go. How about we do this in real time? No pausing, no editing. Just do it in real time. See how fast it can be done. These things are not difficult to work on. So I brought a timer out here. Let's get you set up on the stand. Doors closed. I've got a few tools here. In case I need to cut a tie wrap or whatever, got some side cutters. Got a screwdriver to get the door open. 10mm quarter drive with a deep socket. I think that's all we're gonna need. Okay, let's get into this thing. Let's swap this carburetor out in real time. We'll test it out, make sure it runs. I've got a heater sitting right here to give it 1500 watts of load once we are complete. Are you ready? Let's do this. I know you're not going to be able to see everything, but I'll walk you through it best that I can. We are going to start the timer. It's a countdown from 60 a minute. No reason to hurry, because I don't really care how long it takes. I'm not racing nobody. But it'd be fun. Opens the door. We're going to take the air filter lid off. There's 4 clips. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, did that one come loose? Yeah, I think it did. Okay. The lid here. The filter is next. The gas is off. Now we need that deep socket, 10mm. There's a 1 bolt and 2 nuts. They're 10mm all 3. So first we'll take the bolt out. It's at the lower right hand corner of the air filter back, like that. And then the 2 nuts that hold the carburetor air filter choke assembly on. 1 is loose, 2 is loose. One nut, 2 nuts. Now there is a breather hose at the top of this thing. Comes from the valve cover. We'll pop it off the air cleaner back, and then we can take the back off like so. All right. Now then, there's a choke assembly. Okay, there's a cable that comes from the choke up here. What you want to do is slide the carburetor and choke assembly all the way to the end, okay, of the two studs. I'm taking this off. It's a really nice gasket. Okay. And then you got to lift it up because there's a pin that goes in on the top of this choke lever right in this hole. Okay. So you got to lift that choke assembly up. It's going to be a little bit tricky to put in, but I've got it kind of down to the science. Okay. And we're going to set that choke assembly down, leaving it hooked up to the cable. At least for now, we should be fine. We're going to disconnect the fuel hose just by pulling it off. There's a little spring clamp on it if it's done correctly. And it's a little tight. Might need to get me a needle nose. Yep. Long nose pliers. And these. These will be great. I've enjoyed working on this machine. I don't know why. I've enjoyed it. I'm ready for another one. Okay, tucking the fuel hose away. Now we need to draw the carburetor out of here. There's going to be wiring harness on it. This has an electronic governor. Okay, so there's the carburetor. It's going to leak gas because I didn't run it out. I did, and then I ran it again. Okay, now there's a cable right here that we need to undo. There is a tie wrap on it, as I suspected there would be. It might be one of those reusable tie wrap things. Or not. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't want to ruin it if it's a reusable because it's factory, but I ain't gonna mess with it forever. Alright, we're gonna cut it. Just be careful not to cut the cable. The new carburetor should have the same connector on it. It's a little hard to get at to cut, I gotta admit it. Okay. And then the connector goes into a bulkhead. There's a metal plate right here. And it goes to a bulkhead. I'm gonna look at this one, see if it has a little lock on it, and it does. I'm going to take a screwdriver and try and trip the lock. Makes sense? Just don't know which direction it's supposed to go. There it is. So if you just push that lock in, it's happy. Okay. There's the old carburetor. And I'm going to reach in and try to get this gasket off. I'm going to destroy it. Easily get it off there. It's coming off in pieces. Alright, I'm going to get a little razor blade a razor blade so I can get in there. Possibly this will do it. So I know it's not much to see in here. It's about all you can do to see if you're sitting in front of it. There's the piece down there. And then there's one more little piece. There we go. Nice. Okay. I think I'm going to compare the surface. Yeah. Just so I get that on there correctly. Almost dropped it. Alright, just go on there nicely. Just go on there nicely. How we doing on time? Just over 9 minutes. Just over 9 minutes. Okay, the gasket is on. Now then. Brand new tubies. What's the... Oh. I was trying to put it in the wrong spot. There's some holes down here to route these vent tubes to. Okay, so the carburetor's sliding on. Then we need a gasket like that one. Let's look at this one. Ah, yes, much better. There we go. Now that choke assembly I talked about. So, I mean, I wish I could get you closer, but here's how this is going to do it. You need to pull the carburetor all the way out near the end of the two studs so that you can position, remember that hole I mentioned in the choke, and then there's a rod that sticks down from this choke assembly that needs to go in there. The only way to do it is to pull this carburetor out till you just get a couple threads left, and you got to route the cable around inside so that it's got some place to go. And then if you can see, I'm going to pull the choke out just a little bit just to move that. And then I lost the gasket, half of it. There we go. Come on. There's just no light in here. I'm gonna have to get a light and somehow hold it because I just can't see it. Just can't see it. Okay, I got it. I gotta slip the gasket back in there that fell out again. It's probably going to be the biggest fight you have is getting that choke pin in there. Hopefully it goes well for you. But we got this one. Okay. These tubes are interesting. Let's see if we can route them a little nicer. Okay. That's good. And then verify your choke works. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. It's like the geometry of the choke's just a little off. I need to verify if that's in the correct spot. Oh, I missed it. I missed it, guys. It doesn't seem right. Double check your stuff there. Pulling it all the way back out to the end of the screws again. I hit a void, not the hole. My bad. I even verified it works, and it does work. It's just wrong. Don't make me take the cable off. That would just be bad. One of you could hold this light for me? That'd be awesome. Oh yeah. That's money there. That was money. You can keep it in place now. Just stay for me, would you please? Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Now then, let's put the fuel line back on. I tucked it in over here. Yep. Fuel line. That's wonderful. Now we're going back together with the box. Push these clips in. Makes it a little smaller footprint going in. I'm going to start off with, oh wait a minute, no gasket. Let's have a gasket. This is metal with a, like a rubber O-ring. I just like it better. We'll probably have to throw it away when we put the propane kit on it. But for today, it's going back. Okay. No, forgot the gasket. Started. You're going to want your socket, your deep quarter drive 10 mil loose so you can start these nuts, because you're not getting your fingers in there. But they're fairly accessible. Get the second one. bend that clip up that holds the top of the airbox on. Get the ratchet. We're just gonna run around, snug them up, come back, do them again. I think we should plug in this governor wire next before we get the cap on there. It's already getting hard to reach. Should have put it on now instead of the back here, just giving you a little more room. FYI. Snuggy, 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 snuggy. We're gonna put that vent tube back on. Comes from the valve cover. And then this guy. That's not exactly the same. Ew. I don't know, boys and girls. That connector's not the same. Does it work? I guess we're about to find out. That's not great, folks. Man, I wish there was room for a light in here. There just isn't. Except for where it didn't do no good. Oh boy. That airbox is just in the way. You know what? I'm just tearing my hands up. Let's take the airbox back out. See, one advantage of watching the video. Get a magnet. Get that out of there. We might have to change the connector on that. It's like a 4-pin and this is like a 6-pin. I mean, it may be designed to kind of work there because it's sort of the same. bet it ain't the same. Oh yeah. Put those clips in. Airbox out. A little more room for a light and such. Oh, it does go on there. Sort of. Or does it? There's two. No. Trying the third direction, you know, it's square. It's not happy. So it's a flat pin, and what's in the machine, they're vertical. The only way this thing goes in there makes them horizontal. So, guys, I'm going to have to pause the video. I didn't want to do it, but let's stop the timer, stop the video, and I might have to swap this connector if they're color coded correctly. Here's the difference in the pins, old one, new one. Yeah, they're just not the same at all. And the colors don't correspond. Here we got a red and a white. There is no red or white. So we're screwed. Alright. All I can do is complain back through Amazon and see why I don't have the correct one. Alright, we'll resume later. Bye. Alright, boys and girls, I've been fiddling with this for a while. So much for, you know, a quick flip. So here's what I've done, and I need to show you because y'all might run into this. I don't usually like to do how-to, quote, how-to videos, but I've got enough time invested in this today that I will share what I've learned. This is off my old carburetor, right? This is the mounting plate for the electronic governor. And this arm of it mounted here. So what I did was, because the new one is a wrong configuration to plug in, and there's a couple questions like that on the internet. I thought, well, I'll use my whole governor assembly because it does work. So I put it over here and it mounts here, and then what happened was my choke wouldn't close. So I'd get that carburetor in and fight that pin like 5 times, and yeah, the choke wouldn't work. Dang, take it back out. So what I ended up doing was starting over, put the new governor mount on the new carburetor, and take the old servo motor out of it with the wiring, old wiring, correct connector attached, and put it in here. It does fit. Okay, so pull those 2 screws out, those 2 screws, and then pull both motors out. Put the old motor in the new carburetor governor mount, and hopefully this works. Okay, so it mounts differently, but the connector's correct. So, oh, joys, oh joys. I've already submitted a return on this through Amazon, but then when I went through all the available carburetors, all of them have that connector on them. All of them. Even the factory Honda ones have that connector on them, at least ones I could find. I didn't look up the serial number on this, but I have a feeling this is an old one, like an early one, and it might be different than more current ones. So that is what it is. I think it'll work. I got a couple things I got to run and do, so we'll reconvene on this in a little bit, and we'll put this back on, put it back together. I'll get it as far as I had it when I stopped the clock. We'll reconvene at that time. Here we go. All right, we're back. I've got this carburetor back in with all of the accessories that I showed you. I got it plugged in. We're ready to put the air box in. Okay, now I know it isn't exactly like I planned, but we are going to restart the timer from where we just shut it off. Continue the countdown. So as long as you take care of those things I showed you, or if you have a later model, I'm not sure what's going on, but I assume later model all uses that other connector. I don't know why they changed, but when I looked up a genuine Honda part, that other connector was also present. So yeah, I'm not going to route these because remember I'm doing a propane conversion, and I'll be drilling holes and stuff at that time, and these might end up in the wrong place or whatever. So yeah, we don't want that to happen. I am anxious to get this on propane though, by the way. I guess the only propane powered generators I've ever had were some RV generators. I had a motorhome. We had a Pacero motorhome that had no, it was gasoline. I guess the only propane I ever had was the one on my truck camper, and it was propane. Yep, I've only had one. Only had one. Again, we're using 10mm deep socket to get these nuts started. I do have the fuel plugged into the carburetor. We are just moments away from see if this thing will run properly. On last time I ran it with the old carburetor, I cleaned it up enough to make it run, but I didn't soak it. I mean, I knew it was bad. I said right up front when I was working on it on the video that the plan is to replace it with new, and I wasn't going to fiddle with it, but I wanted to make sure the machine ran and the issues that we were having were resolved, and they are. So that's awesome. So long as this thing runs, and it runs good under a load. The old carburetor, I plugged that 1500 watt heater I just showed you in, and it was not happy at all. It was snorting and missing and fussing, and yeah, it was horrible. And in a year ago, June, when we were using this thing, we used it for hours and hours and hours, 2 hours a day for almost 2 weeks. Average, maybe a day or two we didn't use it at all, and other days we used it all day. We went from racetrack to racetrack, following the dirt track series, and some of the racetracks were closer than others, so we had more time. Wow, this thing's got a long way to go. It's not in a real good spot to get a hold of by hand, pretty pressure. Holy smokes. Are we okay in there? I guess. Hey, it's finally getting tight. Yeah, click. All right, let's move the clips out of the way now. We ran them in to get the airbox base in. This gets a little tight putting this stuff on. It's only going to get worse when we put the propane conversion on. So to get this in, I put the filter in to the base. And then the space in here goes to the outside. So it goes like this. Get up there, Mr. Clip. Stay in there, Mr. Air Filter. And then make sure this filter fits all the way into its base properly, and the air filter is falling out. Has fallen out. Get in there. Fell out again. Go in there to your home. That feels better. Push it in with a screwdriver. Right on. That's better. Click. Click. Screwdriver. Click. Okay. Again, all these fuel things, I'm going to route that when we get in to do the conversion. Let's see if it runs good. Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going to plug the heater in so we can turn it on. We can stink up the shop for a minute. Off. Gas on. Oh, stop the clock. 33 minutes. Okay, let me open the door real quick while it's fueling up the carburetor. Carburetor. Are you ready? Shall we? Shall we? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Chokage. Come on. Not a good sign. Now what? I'm gonna put you on hold. Well guys, I went to start editing this video and realized I didn't either hit the go button on the camera or I've lost the footage or something. Anyway, I didn't let you hear this thing run. So once again, I have it set up over to run with the exhaust, you know, getting out of the shop with a 1500 watt heater on it. I'm gonna let it run for a while. It just warmed up. It's not a cold start, but yeah, I need to get that finished video so I can finish the video and move on. So always needs a choke, which is weird, but anyway. So turn the heater on, fan low. Got a little bit of surge action. It does kind of mellow out though. Go into high. Nice and smooth. And we are letting this thing run for a while, so yeah. So I did have an issue with it, which is why I stopped filming, and the issue I had with it was there was a ground wire that should have landed on the engine, and I landed it on the battery. My bad. So figured that out, put it back, and I basically had lost the ignition because the engine itself wasn't grounded. Remember, the starter gets its ground directly, and that's all plastic, so it doesn't help ground the engine. So if you ever run into that situation, you might check your grounds. So this had a couple green wires that went up to the control panel. One of them dropped down to that ground screw on the outside, so you can ground this generator while it's running, and then I grounded the other end of it to the battery, and my bad, should have grounded it to the engine, something I took apart a year ago and forgot where it went. No big deal, so we're good to go. So she's purring along. I wouldn't say it's running perfect. We might need to address that idle mixture if it's adjustable. I didn't look, but again, things get converted to propane or tri-fuel, so it will run, and it's running fine on gasoline, and then hopefully it runs equally as well or better on propane. So I guess I'm finally happy with this thing. It's finally doing what it needs to do. It's joining the fleet, and when I mean fleet, I'm talking about this fleet. Goes right there. All right. Always room at the dinner table for one more is what I always say. All right, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Please give it a thumbs up on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification so you get notified of future videos. And watch another video while you're here. Make a good Thanksgiving for Old Glenn's Speed Shop if you wouldn't mind. We'll see you on the next video.